Hello, friends. Welcome to We the People Show. This is your host, Tiger, and co host, Bradley. Hello, Bradley.
What's up?
It's been a while since we put out content on this channel, so here we are. We have a bonus content. This is election predictions for November 3rd. Now, we
Yeah,
take a look at the map here, and yeah, this is what I will put out Biden, Trump, which state they will win, etc. Now, first off, I believe Biden will definitely take California because there's no way
yeah,
he's going to win a heavily blue state. So this is a safe blue, as y'all can see right here. And same for New York, in a way. Then we have a lot of these other states to play with. First of all, the Alaska, Hawaii, they will be solid blue and red. Well, yeah, blue for Hawaii and red for Alaska, because it's always been that way, or not always, but for most elections so far.
for decades.
Yeah, for about decades. And but Bradley, you can jump in anytime for your commentary if you would like.
All right. Yeah, because I'm redoing my prediction too after his. So,
So
um,
yeah,
yeah, I don't want to take his shine.
yeah, I understand. So we have all for first of all, I believe the New England states will likely be blue. Trump, I heard campaigning hard on it's just map. Well, anyway, he's been working hard to kind of win over voters, but turning these states red will be, I guess,
Yeah.
say near impossible since they're already inclined to vote blue.
Well, New Hampshire is usually an anomaly for New England states. It gets a little more competitive. Same with Maine's second congressional district, but
And one of these,
um,
so
yeah, that's Maine's second. Yeah, but
yeah, and
Maryland.
Maryland here is Kim Clay, the Republican nominee for the congressional seat. She may have an impact in this election. And personally, I kind of want to donate money to her, but I realize it's also the congressional district she's running in is probably solid blue, so it's highly unlikely she might turn it red this November.
Yeah, she's running in Baltimore. Like I don't think she'll win, but I think she'll make the election a little bit closer than it normally is, and she'll like encourage more black conservatives to run in congressional races, and just like any Republicans in general to run in like big urban cities.
And you have Delaware and New Jersey, which, by the way, I debated a while back with probably political, some a student host, or I forgot, but anyway, she and we talked about the death penalty, and she's from New Jersey, and this state I'm quite sure is gonna be likely blue. Don't you think, Bradley?
Yeah, I don't even say like solid blue, but you do have like pockets of conservative suburbs and rural areas in New Jersey, like in the southern New Jersey and central New Jersey, but it looks like Newark and Trenton always end up overpowering them. So yeah,
Yeah, you have
and
the urban
also
areas.
Newark.
You have basically the urban areas that might give the state to. Now, these states were definitely solid red because obviously the rural voters.
Oh yeah,
Yep, a lot of clicky clicks, y'all. And I and apologize for turning blue there. It's just we're learning the logistics of this simulator.
yeah, it's a 270 to win.
Yeah, 270 wind. It's a resource that I wouldn't say grew up on, but kind of used to using since I got into politics, and especially we used it a lot in the class AP government because I took
Yeah,
around the 2016 race. So now it's back.
yeah, it's fun to mess around with, honestly.
Yeah.
I first was introduced to it in 2016 as well.
Now I would say yeah, there's a lot of these Trump County places. Brad, let me know if I need to change anything because some states tends to be changing now. like leaning away from Trump. I heard somewhere in Indiana or Ohio especially, according to a poll recently, folks, that Trump and Biden are tied in that state, Ohio.
Yeah, I saw that poll too, but honestly, I don't quite believe it, just because the way Ohio's been trending and their polling has always been pretty bad and outdated. And keep in mind the 2018 midterms when they project Mike DeWine, the current incumbent Republican governor, was projected to lose in every poll. He ended up winning by about 5 points in the midterms. That was in a blue wave year.
And I heard Arizona, speaking of which, swing states moving on, and we will come back to that based on my prediction. I think it's not necessarily solid red, but the Democrats might have a turnout this year. Huge chance, especially
Yeah.
I think Selma, or I forgot her name. She's competing against or not alongside, but she's competing for a senator seat.
Yeah, Martha McSally
Yeah,
against
she's the
Mark
Republican.
Kelly.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Democrat. I forgot.
Oh yeah, Mark Kelly, the former astronaut.
Yeah. So as for the race, I thought maybe it could lean red, but not solid red, like around the pink right here.
Yeah.
And as for other swing states, Minnesota, despite the unrest in Minneapolis, I don't think there's going to be a chance for it to be red. Might remain blue, considering there's
not quite yet.
Yeah, it's Trump is not quite there yet. The Republican Party in general.
Yeah. I mean, Trump almost won it in 2016, by a little over. He only lost it by a little over a point, but it's not impossible for him to win it. But I don't think this is quite the year yet for Republicans to pick it up. I'd probably give it 2024, 2028.
Right. My thoughts exactly. I would give it That's why I gave it a likely dim for Biden.
Yeah.
And as for the next swing state coming up, the big one of Florida, my take is in favor of Trump because think about this, folks. There's Cuban Americans there, and Cuban Americans have family probably who fled Cuba, and Cuba, socialism.
They understood the horrors of Fidel Castro and his atrocities against the Cuban people under his communist regime.
It's quite brutal there, historically, and probably right now, like behind the scenes, we don't know.
Yeah, and also he has the Panhandle, which is more, acts more of votes more like Alabamians.
So I could kind of say it's more not safe, more like solid red for now.
Yeah.
And the only way in which I think Biden would possibly try to win Florida would be just hold more rallies and block more, because I barely see any activity from the Biden campaign.
Yeah. He sometimes does rallies there, but yeah.
And Bradley, our home state of Texas, well, there are talk from both sides that have been saying that, it might turn might turn purple this year, which I highly it. For now, no, but maybe in the future elections.
It is getting closer. However, this is not the year for Democrats to flip it. Not even 2024. If it is continuing to trend blue, it won't be purple until 2028.
Yeah, around that time at least. And my father, folks, he said that Texas might turn purple, not this year, but eventually. And I think he has a point. He says that there are a lot of Latino voters. And I noticed, I think I looked up one political map, and along the border towns, those voters prefer Bernie, and they're probably going for Biden in 2020.
Thing is, a little bit. Part of the reason why it is turning blue, I think, as of right now, part of it is a higher minority turnout in voting, and they tend to vote Democrat. But I feel like it's more of the white suburban votes who are and usually suburban women who are turned off by Trump,
Yeah.
like in the Sun Belt states. And the weird thing is in South Texas, it's actually been trending a little more Republican, which is usually historically Democrat. So it's going to be interesting to see what will happen. What will happen in the future. Hopefully, Republicans can make it back into the solid Republican column after Trump leaves office. But yeah, but as of right now, it's still going to be Republican.
Yeah. So concluding on Texas, folks, solid red for now, or likely between safe and likely margin on the map color palette as y'all see.
Yeah, I think Trump will probably win it by 7 points.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next state, folks. Illinois. What do you think, Bradley? I think it might remain blue.
Definitely, yeah. If it wasn't for Chicago, it would be a red state, a solid red state.
What was the reasoning, do you think? I think it's not just Chicago, but just any urban areas in Illinois.
Yeah. Well, they also have the city of Springfield, which is Democrat leaning. But the thing is, Cook County is the second largest county in the whole country, second most populous county, and that usually votes for Democrats by between 70 and 80%. So, but all the other areas, it's a sea of red there, and Trump won almost every county there except for Cook County and the couple suburban counties of Chicago.
Folks, I put Utah and Iowa red, and again, I believe it's the rural voters because I hardly think the urban pro-Biden people would have any an impact in terms of making the whole state blue in favor of Biden.
Yeah, and the thing is the women vote usually tends to vote more conservatively. And even though Trump did turn off a lot of them in 2016, you don't have Evan McMullen or other major third parties on the ballot this year. And also, Trump's warmed up to them a lot, I think, since 2016.
And folks, moving on to Georgia, there's Governor Brian Kemp and another politician, Stacey Abrams, and she's not, I believe, running in the governor's race. Well, I don't think there is a governor's race. Well, Georgia's rules and such. But
yeah.
Personally, what would you say, Brad?
It's going to be closer than 2016, but I still think Trump has a slight edge in Georgia, even though it's getting more purple, kind of like Texas.
Yeah, another swing state there.
Yeah.
For now, we could kind of say, I guess, between two leans.
Yeah, that sounds about right. They'll probably win Georgia by about 3 points, I think.
Yeah.
But it hasn't gone Democrat in a presidential election since Bill Clinton in '92.
Yeah. In that way.
But I think it'll be purple by 2024 if that suburban turn off trend continues, being turned off by Trump.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, not just Trump, but any of Trump's policies that future people running for president might put out.
Yeah.
Now, as for South Carolina, I think it might be a solid red. I haven't heard any indication of it being purple.
No. I would also probably say Washington and Oregon on the far west coast will probably, or I like to say far left coast as a joke, will be solid blue.
Oh, the west coast, are you referring?
Yeah, Oregon and Washington State.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They haven't been Republican since 1984 presidential elections. Ronald Reagan was the last time to vote.
Wow, it's been a while. The last time they were red was the mega by Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, and then Bush nearly lost Oregon, but I think part of that was the third party vote. The Green Party vote was splitting the ticket with Al Gore.
And as for Colorado and New Mexico, I think it's blue.
Yeah.
Whether it's solid.
Well, Colorado was a purple state, in the 2000s and most of the 2010s, but I think at this point it's pretty much in the solid Democrat column, given how larger the margins of victory for Democrats have been. And I'd probably say the same thing about Virginia, unfortunately. Used to be it was a Bush state and a very red state. Well, no, not West. Oh yeah, just regular Virginia,
Yeah, yeah,
in
it's
my
a blue state
opinion.
there, folks. The West Virginia's definitely rural red.
Yeah, West Virginia loves Trump though.
Yeah, and New Mexico, I guess, eh, it's kind of hard to say. I've been looking at sources and they barely tell me much, which I will give it a likely blue or leans blue. And as for
Yeah,
Nevada, as I heard from a friend who goes to A&M, he's actually from there. He studied out of state from Nevada to College Station. So anyway, he told me that for any candidate to win Nevada, they have to win. I think it's Washoe County. That's the name. W.A. Shu. And this year,
and,
this
yeah,
county is trending neither Trump or Biden because both sides are campaigning pretty pretty well. In matter of fact, in that county in Nevada.
mhm.
That it's close to California. Well, yes, there are people, folks, that fled from blue states to red states lately, thanks to the draconian lockdowns. So I will give it a probably likely blue or
Green, blue, yeah,
yeah, lean blue or like whatever. Y'all get the point.
yeah.
Now,
Indiana, this is home state. I think I'll definitely be solid Trump.
Indiana,
Yeah,
yeah. So I figured because Vice President Pence's home state.
yeah.
And as for matter of fact of Ohio, back to Ohio, again, as we mentioned, the polls aren't really that accurate and such. So likely Ohio's Trump County.
Yeah, I'd agree. North Carolina's got, it's also a pretty competitive state. But I looked at like a study recently, and well, not really a study, but like in the data banks, that Republicans are actually leading Democrats in voter registration in practically every county in North Carolina. I think even in Mecklenburg County, which is where Charlotte is, the largest county. Mecklenburg County is the largest county. I think even the GOP was leading there, if I'm not mistaken.
So would you say it's kind of a battleground, like tilt or toss-up state?
Yeah, it'll be close, but I still think Trump will win it, just like how he did in 2016 and Mitt Romney won it in
Yeah,
2012.
we wouldn't say
And
split,
Obama.
but I that's what I figured. That's exactly the problem I'm thinking about when I predicted when I worked overtime and such. So I would give
Yeah,
a leans for
yeah,
Trump.
definitely. Still, yes, leaning in Trump's favor, but not solidly.
Yeah, it's solid. It's not guaranteed. We have to see the turnout for early and election day,
Yeah,
which gives
and
us
yeah, big three states right here.
and three remaining swing states, folks. It's first of all, let's start with Michigan, Bradley. Personally, I hate to go there, but I understand you have family that's moving out of there. Based on that experience,
Yeah,
rate the state on the electoral map.
yeah, my mom and stepdad were not happy at all with MRSA orders and tight lockdowns.
Yeah, so when people turn out to vote, whether it's early or on election day, it depends on the urban areas won by candidate, and I got a feeling they're going for Biden, unfortunately, for the Trump folks.
You think so?
Yeah, I would say it's likely blue. If you if you think, or what do you think, Bradley?
Oh, it's gonna be really tricky because like it's either gonna be Biden's gonna win it by a razor within margin or Trump's gonna win it by a razor within margin, like how he did in 2016. But I
Yeah,
saw that voter registration like went way up in the rural counties. A lot of them where Trump won. So, but they didn't say by like what party they were gonna vote for.
so yeah,
So
just like North Carolina, we don't know. It's kind of a neutral ground there.
yeah,
Well, impressively, Trump did win it in 2016, but there's no guarantee for this year.
right.
And as for Wisconsin, there was the Kenosha incident over
Right, yeah.
I think it was the Jacob Blake incident.
Yes.
And sting topics like police brutality and social issues that can we can have in another episode, folks. But for this election, what would you say, Brad?
I think Trump will win Wisconsin, probably by a little more than he did in 2016. Probably 2 points. No, yeah, well, probably like a little over a point. Probably because yeah, the Kenosha riots turned off a lot of Wisconsin people, and given the Democrats' weak response, and I think the Waukesha counties, which are like the suburban areas around Milwaukee, they're going to vote for Trump more than they did in 2016 because they've a lot of the establishment Republicans kind of warmed up to him. They were kind of worried he wasn't a true conservative, but I think they see like how he's great now. Um, they like the policies he's done, and the turnout for in the Waukesha counties there were greater for Scott Walker, the former governor, where he narrowly lost in 2018 to um, Tony Evers, the current governor, Democrat.
And folks, based on the Kenosha situation, I believe that the whole state might lean or turn to Trump, considering that Biden. I heard from a video somewhere that there was this lady. She was I think she's a Kenosha resident, a member of that community, and both President Trump and Joe Biden has visited like the aftermath of the riots, and
Yeah,
Biden visited. That lady was apparently she said she was scripted to ask a scripted question, and there was a viral video of her saying that no, I do not want to ask a scripted question. I want to speak out the truth to say what happened. So I on the scripted incident, I don't think Democrats are benefiting themselves there in terms of this race.
no, definitely not. And what do you think about Pennsylvania?
Yeah. Lastly, Pennsylvania. I would say it's going for Trump, considering the people of Pennsylvania are fed up with the draconian lockdowns, just like any other state nationwide. The only reason
Yeah,
it would be going for Biden would be that, again, if Biden would stop, will campaign more and stop freaking, showing dropping gaffes. It was at Pennsylvania events in which he was like, there was one gaffes in which Biden was like, rising, I don't know.
yeah, and also voters, the voter registration has been higher for the GOP in Pennsylvania than Democrats for almost every county.
So therefore, I would say, excuse the noise, folks. That was our obnoxious roommate being annoying.
Yeah, they're kind of loud.
Overall, yeah, folks, Pennsylvania is leaning Trump, considering it, as Bradley said, the voter registration.
So you think it'll be a 289 to 249?
249 to 289. Well, that's not the final, electoral map for 2020. Our prediction, folks. That's a draft for now, first draft. Considering if y'all could clearly see these shaded colors, it all depends on these states that's shaded.
Yeah, and that's Tiger's prediction.
Yeah.
And I have my own prediction too.
Coming right up. So yeah, folks, this will be a close race. That's my conclusion there. In terms of Trump win or a Biden win, the factors for a Trump win, ACB hearings right now. Well, it concluded, but the ACB, given that the Democrats reacted negatively, I don't think it would help them. And Biden's just a bad candidate because if you think about it, he keeps dropping these gaffes, and the media just doesn't seem to care. And again, as we mentioned, COVID lockdowns and then jobs. The jobs have been lost since COVID hit, but the jobs are coming back slowly but surely. And the unemployment rate, as we last checked, it's about 8-ish%. It's still high, but it will drop, I believe so.
Yeah.
And this year, sorry. Go ahead, Bradley.
I was just saying, a lot of economists really underestimated the economic recovery from COVID.
And as for other factors, there's a silent majority and cancel culture because people are afraid to voice their political views until now. And there are people who are unexpected, that are moderate, that you don't know, who suddenly express support for a candidate. In this situation, it'll be Trump. But there are moderates who would vote, who are Biden voting voters, I believe. And as for one last factor, a few factors is the youth vote. Think about it, folks. There's a lot of students for Trump chapters compared to students for Biden. And considering the youth vote might still be Dems, but the Republicans still have a shot in increasing their youth turnout compared to past elections.
Yeah.
And then finally, we have riots. In riots, it's all happened in Democrat-controlled areas, and all Democrats have their argument is just Orange man bad, Orange man did this kind of thing. Like any reasonable person, regardless of party, would think, okay, what are you going to do about it? What are your party's policies? If you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Instead of continuously bashing Orange man. And as for that's the Trump win potentially, but the Biden win prediction would be, okay, again, polls, don't trust the polls. They're not always accurate. And as for Biden, it's basically, as we mentioned, he has to campaign and hopefully stop dropping so much gaffes.
Now I will be showing my election prediction. Well, first I'm just going to knock off the safe states here. California, solid Democrat, entire left coast.
Left coast.
Washington, Hawaii, solid Democrat. Let's
Hey, Bradley, could you scroll up to see the counter?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
There we go.
Yeah, the vote count, yeah. Let's see. Illinois, that's Blue Island right there. Let's see. What else? Oh yeah, solid red states. We got Idaho here, the Rocky West. That's solidly in Trump's column. The Midwest here, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas. I'll get Nebraska. The first district and the third district are solid Republican. I'll get to the second district of Nebraska later, and Alaska. And I think that's all Indiana. I forgot. Those are the solid Republican states there in Trump's column.
Moving on to potential swing states.
Let's get to the more closer states. Yeah. So I'd say Virginia at this point, it's no longer the purple state it used to be. It was the state that went for Bush twice, but then Obama won it twice, and then Hillary won it, and then Ralph Northam. Usually Democrats would still narrowly win in the 2010s, but they'd win by like a couple points, but it was still pretty close. And we all thought the 2017 Virginia gubernatorial election with Ralph Northam was going to be close. He ended up winning by 9 points, and then Tim Kaine won by about 13 points. So part of that was that the guy who was the Republican nominee was kind of alt-right-ish. I forgot his name, but yeah, he wasn't a good candidate. And also just the northern suburbs of Virginia since the 2000s have been getting more and more Republican. I mean, way more Democrat. And even in the Richmond suburbs. So, oh man, I meant to make it blue. I guess I was thinking of the 2000 election. It was 2020, yeah. Virginia's a Democrat. And also the Democrats just flipped both the chambers of the state legislature last year and won a majority of a congressional delegation in 2018. So yeah, Colorado, also solid Democrat. I think Biden will win it by over 10. If you just look at the voting trends. And that's part of the reason why I think Cory Gardner in the Senate will be in trouble, but we'll get to that in another video. New Mexico, I think, will be likely Democrat. Biden will probably win it by about the same amount as Hillary did. I'd say a good 8 points there. Nevada, I think Biden will narrowly win that one, probably by like 2 or 3 points. Though the one silver lining is that Latino enthusiasm for him is pretty low compared to like Hillary Clinton. So he might not have that edge, but still might not be enough for Trump to win. All right. Now I guess we'll get over to the more closer Republican states. Iowa, given the Republicans' performance there, they did horrible on the congressional seats. They lost 2 seats in Iowa there on the congressional delegation, but the governor, who was a Republican, won her. I think her name was Kim Reynolds. She won her election by about 3 points. And given that, I think Trump will be fine in Iowa and will win it probably by 7 points, 8 points. Ohio, like I've seen polls about it being really close there, but again, Ohio has been notorious for their bad polling. It's been pretty outdated. And Mike DeWine performed. He underestimated a lot of pollsters, and he ended up winning by 5 points, despite none of the polls, all the polls having him being beaten by the Democrat nominee for governor. So I'll have it as likely GOP. And now we get to the great state of Texas. Yeah, that state's been pretty much trending a little more purple in the last couple of years. Part of that, I think, has to do with Trump turning off a lot of the suburban vote. But do I think it'll be enough to flip it this year? No. I think he still has a good number of suburban voters, and of course, all the rural areas, the Panhandle, East Texas, West Texas, are going to vote for Trump. And even in South Texas, which is usually heavily Latino and Democrat, has been trending more Republican.
Yes,
so
especially in the Mission, Texas, a border town. From what I heard, it's more pro-Trump.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too. And I think part of that is like Trump is actually going to improve in the Latino vote from 2016. He won by about 28% on the national level, but I think he'll win the Latino vote this time by about 33%. So with that being said, even Ted Cruz won it, and he wasn't very popular. And he defeated Beto despite Beto's popularity. So I think he'll win it by about 7 points there.
There was a close Senate race in Texas, and you're thinking it might happen again in a national election this year.
Well, not as close as the Senate one, but
yeah, they're different, obviously. But I'm talking in terms of voter turnout.
Yeah, but and then I think John Cornyn will outperform Trump, but that's for another video.
Yeah.
Georgia here. Yeah, in the Senate race. Yeah. And Georgia here, I think, despite the Atlanta suburbs, kind of the same thing with Texas. The suburbs been trending a little more Democrat, like in Gwinnett County and Cobb County, around Fulton County, which is where Atlanta is up here. I think even with the 2018 midterm, which wasn't very good for Republicans, Kemp still narrowly won, Brian Kemp. And with that, I think Trump will still narrowly win Georgia by a lean margin. He'll win it probably by like 2.5 to 3 points. And also, I think David Perdue will win, current senator. Let's see, Florida, good old classic swing state here. Republicans really were underestimated in the 2018 midterms. And also, Republicans turned out in great numbers in the primary in Florida, way more than Democrats. So, and all the polls, like in the 2018 governor's election, had Ron DeSantis losing by about 3 to 2 points to Andrew Gilliam. But Ron DeSantis ended up winning by under a point, and Rick Scott ended up flipping an incumbent Democrat senator, Bill Nelson, in 2018. So, and that was in a blue wave year. So with that said, I think Trump will nearly win Florida, probably by about 2 points or under, around the same margin as 2016. So I'll have it as a tilt Republican state. And now it's his home state too. So moving on to New Hampshire here, I think despite Trump making some moves there and the popular incumbent Republican governor Chris Sununu there, I still think Biden Biden will win it narrowly, so all of that is tilt Democrat. There. Maine's second congressional district, I think that's more in Trump's favor to win, given its more conservative turn and won in 2016. North Carolina, I think I saw as I said before, the voter registration numbers have the Republicans in the lead there in the counties. So, and yeah, with that said, I think Trump will narrowly carry the state of North Carolina, probably by a tilt margin there. He'll probably win it by like 2.5 points, around the same number as Georgia. Arizona, that's going to be one of the most competitive states. Biden could very well win that state, and I think Mark Kelly is going to unfortunately beat Martha McSally in Arizona, but that's for another video. But I even saw Republicans leading Democrats in voter registration numbers, even in the most populated county of Maricopa County, which is where Phoenix is, and Phoenix suburbs, Maricopa County. So I think Trump will win it by a little over a point. So I'll have that as the still Republican column. And plus the ACV hearings will get more of the establishment Republicans to vote for Trump, and having Amy Coney Barrett confirmed will ignite the base even more. Because in the 2018 midterms, Republicans cared more about how the senators voted for Brett Kavanaugh than Democrat voters. So I think that's going to get Republican voters more excited to vote than Democrats. So on that issue, Minnesota, I think, yeah, you had the riots going on in Minneapolis, and that might get some suburban voters to vote for Trump. And you have the Iron Range here that has been trending more Republican. That's historically been Democrat, like a lot of mining towns and a lot of unions there that are now switching to the GOP for Trump there. But still, I don't think it will be quite enough, just because the Twin Cities will probably overpower the Republican vote in these rural counties here. So I still think Biden will nearly win this one, probably around the same number as Hillary, maybe a little bit better. So all that is a tilt Democrat. Pennsylvania, oh yeah, and Nebraska second. I saw the fundraising numbers, and I believe Trump had more donations come from Omaha. I think that's where the city is, than Joe Biden did. And even the congressional candidate there, the incumbent Republican, has been leading there. So that kind of tells me it's still slightly in Trump's favor to win. So I've got to tilt Republican. Pennsylvania, that's one of the 3 really competitive seats that's going on this year. But as I've said, the western part of Pennsylvania has been trending more Republican, and the Philadelphia suburbs here have been trending more and more Democrat. But I think a lot of the union voters and a lot of Trump's base is still going to come out, and the voter registration numbers have been in the lead. So I think Trump will narrowly pick off Pennsylvania. Wisconsin, I think with Kenosha riots and the Waukesha counties warming up to Trump, and the riots are making suburban voters more concerned. And Scott Walker did pretty well in there. I think Trump will win Wisconsin by a tilt margin, probably by 2 points. Michigan, I think it's probably going to be the toughest one to predict. You did see voter registration numbers up in a lot, mostly the rural counties, in a higher percentage, but it doesn't say who they're going to vote for. But they went out for Trump in 2016, so I'm not entirely sure about if they're going to vote for him again. With that said, my gut tells me I think they will come out to vote for him, and if there's any that have switched, and the ones that did are going to vote for Biden, I think that percentage is very, very minuscule. That voted for Trump in 2016 that are now going to vote for Biden. So with that said, I think you'll have tilt Republican. And John James, the Republican nominee for the United States Senate in Michigan, is running a really competitive state competitive race, more competitive than they think, and I think he has a real shot at flipping that Senate seat to, away from the Democrats. So basically, the map is pretty much the same as 2016 for me, but with a lot of races in states more closer than others and such. Yeah.
Looks like Bradley has more of a Trump landslide there than mine.
Yeah.
Folks, the real map won't be determined until after the election, November 4th. And we just have to see
Yeah.
until then. And early is going on, y'all folks. It's important to vote early because don't be like complaining about voter suppression or voter this, voter that on November 3rd because well, where were you like weeks ago when they started to accept ballots earlier, right?
Yeah, and also I think it's going to take longer than November 4th to count the votes because you have a lot of mail-in voting due to coronavirus.
Right.
Yeah.
And folks, as I said before, there's a difference between absentee and mail-in. Mail-in is when the officials give you a ballot, whether you request it or not, while absentee is obviously you request one. And folks, we both of us have gone over this predicting this election by this map, which is really cool. And I hope you think it is too, Bradley.
Yes.
Which anyway, look more than beyond just polls because we have YouTube channels like Real Clear Election. I forgot the name.
Red Eagle Politics.
Yeah, that's one channel, and there's this other channel that I. Oh yeah, Let's Talk Elections. Let's Talk Election. I used to subscribe to that channel until I realized he only looks at one component, polls, which polls are not accurate. And we looked as y'all can see we looked at voter registration, turnout, and what policy, like the influence of the politician. We didn't talk much about Biden because he's been in his basement, honestly, and talk about Trump. And he, as Bradley said, he turned off some of the suburban voters, the suburban moms, I believe, Brad. So yeah, look beyond. If y'all want to do your own prediction, go ahead. Just keep in mind, look beyond the polls. Do take the polls into factor, but don't rely too much on one component, not just the polls. Don't rely too much on turnout or registration.
Right.
And I made the mistake, but Bradley got it. Pay attention to the Maine 2nd District and Nebraska 2nd District. I keep forgetting that, like, when I predict elections in general.
Yeah. Those are like the only two states that split their electoral votes by district.
Yeah.
Now,
folks, this bonus content of We the People show, and we will be having a video about the Senate race and House race election predictions. And this is the presidential race, and I am likely going to release it separately, and by separately in terms of splitting like one video for my map predictions and another video for Bradley's map predictions. And we shall see how many videos we'll put out for the Senate and House predictions. Now, my final thoughts is brief. I think this election will be pretty intense, pretty close.
For sure.
Now, let's say if one candidate wins, and especially if you're a college student, do what you got to do before election day, because there's bound to be protests. I'm quite sure that if Biden wins, there's probably going to be some protests, not necessarily by pro-Trump people. And if Trump wins, there's definitely going to be protests, especially by the all cops are bad and BML movement people. And not just those, but any other group out there, maybe socialist, who knows. So anyway, just the point is stay safe.
Stay safe.
One group is on November 4th.
Stay safe and go out.
And go vote. Yes. Sorry for cutting you off.
Bradley,
what's your final thoughts?
Well, I think if Biden wins, there will be some protests, but probably not as much as if Trump wins, just because, a lot of conservatives are more willing to accept the outcomes of a democracy. Well, not all liberals, but like a good number of I won't even say liberals, but like the hard left wingers, like still can't seem to accept the 2016 outcome. And you saw Nancy Pelosi try to pull out the 25th Amendment just before the election. It's like, really?
Yeah, you have your guy Biden, Nancy. Why do you want to do that amendment?
Yeah.
Okay, folks, I guess that wraps up our coverage, our predictions for November 3rd. And again, stay safe and vote, whether in person or by mail. Vote, vote, vote. This election is important in determining America's future, regards
Sure.
the alleged claims of socialism versus freedom. But no matter what you describe this election, guys, vote.
We, the people of the United States, to form a more perfect union, secure the blessings of liberty, reestablish the meaning of the Constitution.